any one little thing, it's all toast. Yeah, this is all the well, not all the because there's a plug there now. And there's a plug there now. And there's the inverter. Or no. The converter. That's the inverter. That's the converter. That's the power to power that to charge the batteries off of the shore power. The inverter sending power down to a switch that is right here underneath the floor, and then also an outlet. So there's an outlet down there and there's an outlet over there that are both powered by the solar inverter only, although indirectly the battery charges the inverter, the shore power charges the battery. So all that stuff runs off of shore power when I'm plugged in. All of this stuff will run off of solar power when I'm driving down the road, when I'm unplugged. So all my drives will stay plugged in and running. The computers will keep to have power. And then down there, the plug down there, that actually gives me access to plug into the solar power from outside. So when it's super hot, or not even hot, but when it's sunny and I need to run tools, I can run tools, apparently even the welder, off that plug down there. It's an outdoor plug. So I still have to finish putting this breaker in, rewiring this junction box, adding that junction box, wiring in that plug, and then I'll be done. And I'm not stopping until I'm done. Well, it works. It's working right now. I don't know if something's gonna blow up in a matter of time. I don't know what's gonna happen. The batteries are charging like super fast, so now they have a battery charger that charging off the shore power, and they went from 71% to 90% in like 3 minutes or something, as long as it took me to pick up the camera. Oh, I did a little dance first too. Ooh, 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 it works, it didn't blow up. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Now I just have to put everything back together and clean everything up. Yesterday was a really, really long day. It took me so many hours. I was working like 12 hours, I think. Totally exhausted, totally sore, in pain. It all works now. Like, I literally had this requirement. I was trying to get and I've said this a million times, trying to get my hard drives to run when I was on the road. So my equipment didn't turn on and off. Just so I had to solve, like, basically a UPS that doesn't beep. I was up until late and I got it all turned on, and I really had to go to some next level with this because I had to put in breakers. I had to add breakers to the system. Beyond the breakers that I had to put in for the solar system, I had to put in more AC breakers, not air conditioning, alternate current. So, and this is all because I needed power, and the breaker that came with the trailer, it was getting this power by having basically a bunch of plugs, and the converter was all running off this one 15 amp breaker, and for some reason there was a wire nut in there sparking, just totally nightmarish when I opened it up. And I'm like, I need to breaker this right over here, not over there. It was just more wire running. It was easier to put in breakers. And it really looks good. I mean, it looks like a professional put it in there. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I did some crazy. I have no idea. You know, I mean, I have to have somebody look. I mean, everything looks tight, mounted securely. I mean, there's like all the wires are run nicely and safely. I think. I mean, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. There could be some total thing with running wires like all together in conduit, AC and DC wires. I don't know. I think they all have their own shielding that's enough for whatever they have to do. Obviously, if stuff gets hot, it's bad. That's why you use big wire, the appropriately sized wire. And I got all that stuff is appropriately sized. I mean, I'm running full size wire to everything except the plug that runs out on the slide that I added, and that one plug has outdoor wire, plenty good for one plug. Nothing was getting hot, and now the system is basically I mean, it was so awesome too. I mean, I plugged in that converter and the batteries were at like 71% because the sun had been down and I had all the lights on and I was working there, and I finally got the final thing to plug in the converter, and then bam, it was charging the heck out of the battery. And then I got all my equipment plugged in and the inverter was turning on to power all that stuff, and the charger, it charged the battery up in really a short amount of time. When I woke up in the morning, I was really concerned about how two chargers would work. I mean, how does anything know? Like, who's the boss? Who gets to be the one that puts the power? You know, that was my big question, right? I mean, I want it to be the solar power running that stuff. I wanted it to be running off of solar power, and then only if it had to run off of shore power, it would. But how would it all know? I didn't install a smart system. My system doesn't even have a shunt, so I can't even determine my draw or load, excuse me. I can't even determine my load, which is something that I'd really like to add, because I have an app that just gives me all the information, and it just doesn't get that information because those two wires aren't plugged into anything. And I think the guy at the solar place basically, when, you know, he was that was just like, that's the next level, you know, that's like even more stuff that you could mess up that isn't needed, and if you f up any one little thing, it's all toast. Well, it's all toast on the side of the breaker that it's on. So I mean, you know, you could toast stuff, but toasting anything. I mean, technically the inverter is toasted. Now, is that my fault? I told the guy my criteria, and you know, I burned up the input side. If I would have just given the thing as much power as I wanted from it, which I never wanted it to run, I was never trying to run the whole trailer off the solar system. That was never my to replace the battery that comes with the trailer with lithium, so that upgrades that, and then to have an inverter to be able to run my stuff. That was it. But then it's like, well, you know, you're 2/3, 60% of the way there. All you need is a panel, some breakers, and a charger controller, and you got it. You know, I did go for a little extra. I got a remote unit that does the Bluetooth, so I have an app, and that was like $45 or something. And totally worth it, because the app has like tracking data, and it has current information. But again, I don't have the shunt hooked up, so I can't totally freaking get every bit of data that I need to get. I want to give it a break for a while. It's been all consuming for 2 weeks now. I mean, not all consuming, but there's been some big major, like, I mean, it's like my focus is like been on this. And I seriously, I mean, I got this invention. I really need to be able to put all my thought into this video for this invention. The patent, which is $500. Oy. Yes. I'm hoping to turn this patent into some money in a very, very short amount of time. Technical drawings is what I need. So yeah, I sat there with the solar system most of the day, and the coolest thing was, as soon as the solar was going, the converter totally just was not working at all. Where when it was charging the batteries, it was really overheating. Not really overheating, it was blowing hot air. And it's like it was heating up the little grill, which is like a heat sink, no big deal. I mean, that's the way it's designed, to be able to blow air out. It's going to heat up whatever is there. It's a little louder than I was hoping for. Like, a lot louder, but hopefully the going into night now, where the solar has kept the batteries topped off all the time, and there's not really any demand for charging the batteries, there's just the demand that's being demanded on the batteries. That'll be a lot less load that normally passes through that thing. So it shouldn't even get that warm tonight, in theory. We'll have to see. I'm so happy though. I was so happy. I'm just like, all my stuff now is just gonna run, regardless whether that trailer is plugged in or not. And when it's plugged in, it is like basically running off the shore power through a lot of electronics. I mean, literally it comes in through the shore power, into breakers, into wires, into the converter, into the batteries, then out of the batteries, into the inverter, and all the wires in between, and then into more wires, and then down into one plug where that plug terminates in some really high voltage wire that I can run the welder off of, and then I tap off of that, and bam, that runs the box I just put on the slide. And I'll just trim that out. I got some little trim things left to do to make it look nice, but I just would, and then when I pre-wire or pre-put in the parts I needed to run the generator power directly into the system with a hard wire that I'll run all the way from the tongue of the trailer where I mount the generator all the way up to, or back to, up into, and I already have the wire. That's the coolest thing. And I'm like, what am I gonna do with this freaking 50-foot wire I bought? Damn it. I just pissed money away on something I'm not gonna need. Oh no. I mean, I probably paid a little more, but having that plug-in on there, the plug-in on there, yeah, so I just cut that 50-footer. I'll have a little extra left over, no big deal, and I'll wire it directly into my panel so it'll go through the breaker. Now the big question is, when I wish this stuff was going live like as I was doing it. It's just being compiled and then dumped, and then eventually this will be live stuff, but we're not there yet. The company has some other focuses they got to focus on currently. So I've got the generator sitting there, and it's plugged in 24/7 to a wire that's then plugged in sometimes to shore power. So then that wire is going to be hot. Unless there's a, yeah, I can't see any way to get around that without a physical switch. And so, but it might not be a problem. It might not be a problem at all. I don't know. I can't say. It could be kind of like when I was trying to find out if I could run the power on the solar batteries. They've got one terminal on each battery that has 3 things. Then the other terminal has 1 thing, per the way the guy drew the diagram. And I just needed to know if I could run to those other poles a charger. And I'm still like fascinated, like how does it know what charge? I mean, I guess I don't even know. I guess the solar power is just pushing through. Currently, the solar system appears to be working. I have Wi-Fi coming from the trailer. The Wi-Fi has its own battery, so that'll last a while anyway, but I think I've already been unplugged long enough where I'd start to see a degradation in signal strength, and I haven't. So I'm assuming and I'm not seeing any smoke or anything coming out of the trailer. People aren't trying to flag me down. So I think it's working. And boy, what a emotional roller coaster installing that thing it was. It's like I go from feeling like I got this and I'm feeling very confident to feeling like I really f***ed up to feeling like, holy shit, I actually did it. So in the end, I'm like all super happy that I did do it and I did it all myself. That kind of learning where you just kind of, I inject myself into situations where I have to get them done. And I'm on a time crunch. Like a reality TV show. And if I was a little better at filming, but every time this is happening, I'm literally having to do this shit. I don't have time to grab the camera and start to film my current nightmare situation that I have to wrap up in this short amount of time. And, you know, I mean, how many people out there have worked 24 hours straight? How many of you done it? Tell me in the comment section below. How many, what were you doing? How long? Because I'll tell you right now, I've pulled some epically long shifts. Days. Huge, like right before nightclubs open. And, you know, you're doing the construction on the place and it's not done. I mean, I was literally installing a bar top in a bar 4 hours after it had its opening. It was open. People are in there and I'm in there just working my ass off. And I had already been there like 24 hours or something. Yeah, crazy. Yeah. I'll tell that story in its entirety in my autobiography. Stay tuned.